AskReddit Storytime. Please like and subscribe. What is the greatest comeback to an insult you've ever heard? Here's my favorite self-burn. In high school math class, a nice, nerdy guy named Richard, a jerk whose name I forget, let's call him Jerk. Jerk keeps calling Richard Dick. Like, hey, Dick, did you get the answer to number 4? Richard keeps calmly saying it's Richard. Finally the teacher says, Richard, what do you prefer to be called? Richard says, I prefer Richard. Jerk says, well, I prefer Dick. After a few seconds of uproarious laughter from the rest of the class, Jerk realized what he said and sunk as far down in his seat as possible and never bugged Richard again. We were teenagers in the 80s, so this was the height of hilarity. This wasn't an insult personally, but it was a comeback on behalf of a nation. My father is Irish and he used to work in California. One day a particularly condescending colleague complimented my dad's work by saying I never thought I'd get to meet an intelligent Irishman. To which my dad replied, hopefully someday I'll be as fortunate with Americans, which went completely over his colleague's head. You dress like a grandpa. That's why your mom calls me daddy. I had a pretty fun one myself once from a few years ago. I was at a friend's place with a lot of people I didn't really know too well, having a few beers. Suddenly this dude from across the table says to me, quite aggressively, that my suspenders were ugly and that they made me look like I was trying too hard, which, to be fair, I was. Without skipping a beat I stood up, unclipped my suspenders and put them in my pocket. When I sat down I looked straight into his eyes and replied, now let's talk about that face tattoo of yours. Younger lady was acting like a total bee in this restaurant to the staff, and this middle-aged lady said, oh honey, you're not pretty enough to act like that. Edit, holy crap, this blew up. Guess we all appreciate it when people like this get put in their place. Thank you so much for the gold and silver, kind strangers. In a heated argument my mom called my brother a son of a b. He replied, you got that right. A friend of mine in first-year university had never really dated any girls yet. This dumb meathead that we were kind of friends with told him, when you do get a girlfriend, I'm totally going to duck her. He responded, if I had a girlfriend that would duck you, her cheating on me wouldn't be the issue. Not quite an insult, but I still think of this comeback to this day. I have 2 little brothers and it was my dad's birthday, so the semi-extended family were all at a restaurant to celebrate. I had just graduated from my dad's alma mater, and my middle brother was currently a junior there. My youngest brother, a freshman, however, opted to go to state school. At one point my uncle said, so, youngest brother, how does your dad feel about you breaking the trend of our last name, men going to alma mater? My little bro thought for a moment and then said, well, he probably doesn't mind, considering I also broke the trend of not being able to get higher than a 3.0. The table exploded and my other brother and I just stared at each other across the table like, holy duck, did we just get brutally murdered? It's especially funny because my little bro was one of those shy high school kids who went off to college and came back fun and socially confident. I was hoping that development would happen, I just never expected it to stab me in the ducking face. 1. Everyone thinks you're an asshole. 2. Well, you know what everyone thinks about you? Nothing. No one ever thinks about you. I know I don't. My dear grandmother. She had a quick and savage wit. My fiancé and I held a meet the whole family get together at my house. It was the first time his father met my grandmother. His dad was a large, physically intimidating man with a beer gut. He began telling stories to my grandmother about how my fiancé was a mischief maker when he was young. Then told my grandmother how he would take off his belt and whip Joe for being bad. My frail little grandmother stares directly at my hubby's dad's tummy and says, your belt? However could you find it? Future father-in-law was gobsmacked. Gordon Ramsay asks his daughter on camera, so what's it like being the daughter of the most famous chef in the world? His daughter replies, I wouldn't know, Jamie Oliver's not my dad. Boom. Roasted. Was once criticized by an older family member for having a straight tooth that gave me a bit of a craggy smile as an adolescent. It has settled in nicely. I was raised to not criticize what people can't help and to give compliments where possible, and so I did just that, sorta. And, nice crocodile smile. Me, thanks. And, it's just that tooth, you know, makes your smile all crooked, but it's not that bad. You could get it fixed. Me, I suppose, but I know I'll never have teeth as nice as yours are. They are like stars. And, like stars? You mean as in bright? Me, no, as in they come out at night. My uncle had given me a book called 1001 Insults for Every Occasion, a while earlier, and that gem was in it. E.T.A. Shucks, not used to such attention. I'm thrilled so many enjoyed this little anecdote. My family is rich in them, so I suppose I'll post more in the future as warranted. Thank you for my first gold, kind stranger, and the silver, I see you too. I'll strive to be generous. When I was in middle school many years ago, a bully was teasing an awkward kid about not being able to get girls and being gay and never being able to get laid. Another bully spoke up to the first bully and said, "B, you ain't had pussy since pussy had you," and the entire class and the teacher started laughing. The original bully shut up. Update: teacher didn't start belly laughing with everyone in the middle of the class. This occurred between classes, as students were coming in. Teacher definitely heard, definitely smiled, and stifled his laugh. He said, "Knock it off, boys, time for class to begin." Nobody clapped. No principal came in and clapped. This happened 30 years ago. Bully 1 is a police officer now. Bully 2 is a semi-truck driver. Awkward kid is a mechanical engineer. I heard a story once about some girls in an elevator who were insulting some black guy in another language they thought he didn't understand, Hindi I think, specifically commenting on his ugly black face. Apparently the guy waited till the elevator reached his floor, looked at them, and in perfect Hindi said, "Better to have an ugly face than an ugly heart," and left. Edit: I wasn't expecting all the attention, so I just want to note some things. Number 1, seriously, I don't know if it was Hindi, so to all you people bad-mouthing Indians, apologizing on behalf of them, I could easily be wrong. Number 2. Yeah, I know it might not have happened. The question was about great comebacks, not true stories. Had this before. A real raisin of a woman made fun of me in front of a group of people for being so pale. I looked her in her leathery eyes and said, "Well, at least I won't die of skin cancer." She later died of skin cancer, and I felt a little like a dick. She was the nurse in the high school I taught at. The group of women I was with were all teachers at the school, myself included. After she died, I was terrified someone would remember I said that and call me out, but that Christ, no one ever said anything. Winston Churchill is attributed some great ones. Lady Astor, "Mr. Churchill, you're drunk." Churchill, "Yes madam, and you're ugly, but tomorrow I shall be sober." And also, Lady Astor, "Winston, if you were my husband, I'd poison your tea." Churchill, "Nancy, if I were your husband, I'd drink it." One that I've seen attributed to Churchill. Churchill, "Madam, would you sleep with me for £5 million? Socialite, "My goodness, Mr. Churchill. Well, I suppose. We would have to discuss terms, of course." Churchill, "Would you sleep with me for £5? Socialite, "Mr. Churchill, what kind of woman do you think I am?" Churchill, "Madam, we've already established that. Now we are haggling about the price." Was jokingly asked out to your 10 formal prom, in front of whole class by a popular girl who definitely had no interest in me. I without a moment's hesitation say, "No thanks Lauren. I have standards." Whole class and teacher lost it. During my university days, I ran into a friend, acquaintance of mine. And I was holding a Green Lantern graphic novel. My friend introduced me to his current girlfriend, and the first thing she says to me while shaking my hand was, "Aren't comic books for kids?" And I replied, "Aren't those A-cups for kids?" Honestly, I was in so much shock that someone I just met would say that to me that I replied on instinct. Still my greatest comeback ever. I was in first grade and we were on the bus about to go home, and some mean bully yelled at me and it went like this. Bully: "Hey, my name, why are you so gay?" Me: "Because I like to copy you." Bus: "Oh ah ooh 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 ooh." That was the best comeback I have ever made, and the kid behind me said "ha nice," then like bro slapped my hand and I felt so cool. Later in 7th grade I figured out I was gay, so checkmate bully. Edit: thank you amazing stranger for the silver. This is my first time getting it. Teacher asks a tough question. Jimmy says the correct answer. Karen: lol, you're such a nerd. Teacher: be nice to him, Karen, he could be your boss someday. Jimmy: it's okay teacher, I have no interest on being a pimp anyway. Whole class losing their minds. AskReddit story time. Please like and subscribe.